Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just briefly go through um, some of the machines we have, just to, because there's some people in here that might not know them. So I'm just going to briefly go through these and the options with the different machines that we have, and then we'll turn it over to Walter for some information on the rhinos. So one of the things is we have a variety of different machines. We have extrusion machines, we have door fab machines, we have combination centers, which we're actually going to demonstrate today. Some gasket machines, rhino saws, some window centers, and then positioners. Okay. Our extrusion machines, most of them basically are fairly the same with a lot of options. Okay. And all of them come with an in-feed conveyor. You can get a 10 or a 5 stock lane conveyor. They're fully automated. You can get them to feed from the left hand, or you get them to feed from the right hand. They all have a cutting module, and that's one of the main differences of the machines is the cutting modules. There's a machining module. There's a computer and a printer. Okay, and they're all made in the USA. Now, on the saws, there's basically 3 different saw packages that we offer. Okay, on the 900 series, it's a straight up cut saw. Does 90-degree cuts. On the 1100 series, it's a down cut saw, and it does down cut miters. It does miters from the top down. And on the 1300 series, you have your down cut saw, and you have another saw that's a bevel saw that comes straight in, and you'll see it'll make the straight cut bevel across the face. Okay. Now on the machining module, we have some different packages on the routers now, so quite a few of them. But you start off, you have 3 routers. You have one on the top, one on the front, one on the bottom. You can get an optional 4th router to go on the back. Okay, or in the case of the combos, you can get one on the front. Okay, and and anytime you see a 50 model, so if you see a 950 or 1150 or 1350, it still belongs to that family of machines. What that does is signifies our heavy duty model. So what we have basically is 3 different router options. We have a 2.2 kilowatt, 24,000 RPM router that you'll see on the 900s. So and there's no router options on that. But once you move into the heavy duty models, the base router is a 5.6 kilowatt, 24,000 RPM router, and you can actually upgrade that to a 9.8 36,000 RPM liquid cooled router series. Okay. The nice thing about that series is, I don't think we have that. I'll show you that in a little bit. Is the electronic package on that router, and it works with the tool changer, but it also has automatic, or not automatic tool changing, but electronic tool change, so you can change the tool with a push of a button. So very easy to change a tool. You just press the button and pull a tool out and put a new tool in. Okay, so those are your router options. I know they're a little confusing, but once you get into the heavy duty machines, the 50 series, you have a lot of choices, right? Okay, on the Rhino door fab machines, same thing. We have a machining module, we have a PC interface, outfeed conveyors, the pusher feed systems, the automatic feed, the printers, and you can also get these left-hand feed or right-hand feed. And it basically does a whole door blank. So it can do up to a 54-inch wide door at any length. Okay, you can actually, fabricate extrusion in this here. It doesn't have a saw module. Okay, and once again, this basically starts out as a heavy-duty machine, and you can get a tool changer with it, which we'll show you here in a second. The standard routers are 5.8 kilowatt, 24,000 RPM, but you can upgrade them to the 36,000, the bigger routers, for the automatic tooling. Okay. Here's some of the door fab upgrades. You get the automatic tool changers. It's a robotic arm tool changer. You'll see this in the demo. It's actually a 24 tool carousel you can fit on here. Very high capacity. You can get the 4th router on these 2. Once again, you can upgrade to the 9.3 kilowatt, 36,000 liquid cooled routers. Very, very nice routers. And you'll see here, these are electronic package, so you can, you know, if you want to change your tools, just push a button, okay? And then last but not least, you know, our RhinoFab combo centers, and this is what we're gonna do a demo of today. Once again, you can get it fed from the left or the right. And the main difference is what we did is we took the door machine and the extrusion machine and combined it. You have, you know, 2 sets of conveyors, and they'll show you that. So when you're in extrusion mode, you can load 10 stock lengths on here and run an extrusion. You can run mullions. One of the important parts about our machine is you can run a, you know, a 10-inch tube. Plus you can run cover caps, pressure plates, pocket fillers. Walter will show you some of the new things we're doing, some of the fixtures where you can run multiple cover caps and pressure plates. So if you want to run 4 cover caps and 4 pressure plates at the same time, you can. So we're getting more into very high capacity production. And that's pretty much these, and you'll see these in the demo, okay? Like I said, in extrusion mode, you can fabricate extrusions. In door mode, you can fabricate blank doors. And this machine will do about anything you're going to do, okay? All right. And the main difference in the combination centers between the 9600 and the 9700 is the saw package. So the 96 has the downcut miter saw, and the 97 has both saws, and they kind of match up to our, you know, our extrusion machines, the 1150 and the 1350. So don't get confused with the numbers, but it's the only difference is that bottom saw is the only difference between the 96 and the 97. Okay. Okay. And once again, the heavy duty routers, you can upgrade to it. You can get the 4th router, you can upgrade to that. These are add-ons. You can add that on if you want. You can also add on the tool changer if you want to. If you don't get it at the time of purchase, it's an add-on. But it does require having the 36,000 RPM routers. Okay. The other equipment we have is the gasket machine. You know, you can actually run 3 gaskets at one time with it. Really nice little machine. We have saw centers, which is just like a Rhino 100. We have smart stops, our regular positioners, and window centers, which we don't really need to talk about too much here. Okay, so that's pretty much the overlay of all the different machines that we offer. So I'm going to actually hand this over to Walter so he can go through some of the stuff that we're doing now.
Okay, what I want to talk about some new innovations that we're working on and coming up with and introducing at the trade show in 2 weeks. One of them is a automatic unloading system to continually improve the efficiency of the machine and allow the operator to be untethered from the machine for 20 to 40 minutes at a time, where you can put 10 stock links on the infeed side, and then you can walk away and the machine will automatically process all stock links, or you can keep adding stock links if you want, but this allows the operator to do other things, other tasks, you know, like gasketing, assembly, moving carts, different things, and so on and so forth, you know. And the machine just nonstop keeps running the whole time. And one of the things that we did with our system to take it to another level from other machine companies is we actually can fit 1, 2, or 3 in-feed autoloader stock lengths on there, you know, where we can, because we rebuilt patterns on the unloader, so it gives us more space than just spitting out one piece at a time and stacking it. You would fill up the conveyor after 12, 14 pieces, the conveyor would be full, you know. And you can see this here with the pattern mode, where we basically rebuilt the pattern. This over here, you can see the gripper that pulls it out of the machine. And then based on the pattern where it goes, we position it and drop it and take the air gap out between the parts so we can fit more parts on the unloader system. And then we have different configurations of this unloading system, and you can get it in lengths from 12 to 32 feet long, and this is a 10-foot wide system. And here you can see a 5-foot wide system. It depends on your spacing. And also this automatic unloader system is available for our extrusion machines and combo machines, like you can see here with the ball table going up and down if it's in door mode, and the tables go down when it's in extrusion mode. The next thing I want to talk about is the next innovation we're working on is to run multiple pressure plates and cover caps. And what we do is we add some guide fixtures on the in-feed side and in the machine to allow stacking. And we're going to show you some details here, but these are the guide fixtures. This is where they go. It's a very simple thing where you just pop 6 or 7 of these guide blocks on the conveyor rollers, and then they're adjustable. I will show you this in a minute here. But here's some of the configurations you can run and adjust with this fixture here. Like this shows 4 cover caps. You can do 2 or 4, stack them in 2 rows, right? Or you can do a single row where you can run 1, 2, 3, or 4 high. And all the fabrication is taken care of the machine. When you select multiples on pressure plates and cover caps, the machine figures out exactly where to put the additional fab, so you don't have to do anything on the Glacier Studio side to modify any of the parts. Over here on the right, you can see how we would run the pressure plates. We put stack 2 on top of each other in 2 rows, back to back, and then we drill and route from the bottom to top through both of them. And again, all the fabrication data and everything is taken care of on the machine side. And then here's just this universal fixture, because there's so many different sizes from 2-inch system up to 3-inch systems, and they're all fractional difference, you know, with 2.5 and the 1/6 inch below or 1/8 inch below or above it, right? So we decided to make this adjustable fixture here where you can set the dimension like this here. If you have 2 rows of 2.5-inch cover caps, you would set this to 5 inches, and then it would guide it very nicely. And these are also adjustable things that go in some of the fabrication clamps, horizontal clamps. We just snap that on there. You again adjust the size from 4 to 6 inches, and then you pop it in there. And this way, when you have 2 rows, it's not gonna buckle the combination of parts coming in the way you see it here by a horizontal roller coming in too hard and clamping it. But so you could basically change over the machine within 5 to 10 minutes, the operator to go from a standard extrusion machine to run multiples of pressure plates and cover caps. Does anybody have any questions on this?
None so far, Walter. And again, anyone feel free to raise your hand or write your questions in the question box.
But the idea is, because you know, pressure plate and cover caps is 2/3 of a fabrication job of any curtain wall job, and by improving the efficiency of fabricating and cutting pressure plate and cover caps, you know, by 60 to 75%, that will allow you for much more efficient and much higher throughput on the machine, and finishing up jobs much faster than you're doing now. And that's what we're striving for. Okay, if there's no other questions, I'm gonna send it over to Chris Draper, who's gonna talk about some software innovations we're working on.
All right. I'm Chris Draper. I'm one of the software developers here at the Michael Group, and just a little bit of a kind of a background and a history of, you know, Parker Pack and Glacier Studio. The Michael Group started around in 1977, And we first came out with Partner Pack, which was labeled, for Conair, and then a little after we developed, Glazer Studio, which is for primarily all of your other vendors out there, your major ones, YKK, EFCO, Tube Light, Oldcastle, and then some different regional catalogs that are also available. Partner Pack and Glazer Studio are exactly the same program. They all have the same functions and features available. And so what we do at the DeMichael is we build relationships with the different vendors, and then we set up all of the systems, the parts, entering in all the fabrication information, all the drawing information that you see. So and then we have a support team back at our office that are there for you guys to answer any questions and help guide you through the process. And so I'm just going to do a little demo of Partner Pack here and show you some of the new features that we have been working on that will be coming out in the next update, and then some that will be a little bit down the road. So here we have Partner Pack, which is just sort of the main screen. And Partner Pack and Glazer Studio both are everything from your basic estimating takeoffs all the way out to shop drawings, and then into metal fabrication and purchase orders and all that. And so it's a full system that will take you from the beginning pretty much all the way to the end. And then we're working on some other things to help with, inventory and some other things like that, and shipping and production. So we'll kind of go through all that today. So I'm just going to start with a basic project here, open this up. And like I said, we pre-build all the different libraries for storefront, curtain wall, window wall, all the different combinations that the manufacturers may offer. So just going to build a little frame. And so all of our elevations and sticks, you can see these things in 3D. We have a lot of images and stuff, but you can quickly set daylights. You can move sticks around, and the system responds very quickly and efficiently. And so you go through and you're just building your elevations based off your shop drawings. You can put in your doors, you can put in vents, and you can add sticks. It's got the capability of doing out of shape frames, your rake tops and stuff like that. So, but basically you go through and you build all your elevations, you set up your project how you want. And then from there, one of the new features that we've added recently that will be coming out is the ability to, my screen's, okay, so his ability to define units. And where this becomes in play is like unitized walls, where you're going to build units of the frame, or even in a storefront system. Say you wanted to take these two and you want to define these as a unit. So then down the road, you're going to take that after it's been cut, you're going to send it to an assembly station where you're going to build that unit, and then you may be shipping those out to the field in units. And so if I click here, right click, and I come to material flow, I can assign a unit tag. And so simply what that's going to do is we give it what that unit number is, then down the road it's going to also produce a barcode that you can scan and find out, okay, these are all the pieces that belong to that unit. And then if I want to view anytime, I can go up to view and see all my unit tags and see where all my different units are. Okay, so from there, you would then generate, your bid recap and get all your pricing. You may do some optimization, and then metal fabrication, and if you have doors, you can do your door fabrication. And one of the things since we have the Rhino machines is we can communicate with the Rhinos. And so if I'm, say, running my optimization and I want to know how many drops I have available, I can come to my drop list. I can, set it up to communicate with the Rhino, and then it's going to, go and produce and find out what drops I might have that I can use with that. Another thing that we're coming out with that goes along with the auto offloader is, now that you've, set all that up, is now you want to take and set that up and send it to a carting system that you're going to then use and move throughout your facility. So what we've come up with is a way to identify carts, and you can set those up based on a bin and max size. And then also maybe you want carts that are strictly for storefront or curtain wall or for all systems. And then some other features is Well, maybe you only want that cart to be specifically broken down by units or by a specific frame or for the entire project. And so you can kind of filter your carts and set those up based on that. And then maybe you want all your cart, to be just all verticals on one cart, all horizontals on one cart. So a lot of different options when that comes in. And so when we run into metal fab, we'll go ahead and we'll see that. So we're going to go into metal fabrication now. We'll bring in that little project demo frame I built. So, okay. And so a couple things to note here is, as you're building all these elevations in the background, we've put all this data into the system to where it's going to go and automatically lay out, all the fabrication for you. It's going to lay out all the holes based on how you laid out those elevations. And so if you take the time and build those elevations correctly, all the work down the road will be done for you. And so if I preview this frame, I can also then see, again, my unit tags that were labeled. It'll label all the sticks and handle from there. And another thing that we're adding to this with anybody that has a Rhino is, so say I have this Rhino job that's out there at the Rhino right now, I want to check its current status. I can hit check Rhino status, and then I can see that quickly over here on the left-hand side. Okay, this part's at the Rhino, this part's been cut, these parts have been cut. And then also I can scroll off to the far right here and see, okay, this part's already been loaded, these are already been cut. And so it gives you a quick way to kind of see the progress of that job through the Rhino. Okay, so we're going to go into door fabrication now, and this is part of the demo. Is you're going to see the door combo machine, and so with that is, so anytime you build a frame with completed fully assembled door leaves, you can then take those door leaves and assign hardware to them. So in our fab library, we have an extensive list of hardware that we've kind of built over time, different ones that we've built or some customers that have shared that with us, and so. What it allows you to do is you can either manually place this hardware onto a door, or you can go into the parts database and attach any fab library or template to a hardware part. And so anytime that hardware part is placed on when you're building the door, all that information is going to come in automatically. I'm going to kind of show you the manual process here so that you can see. So if I come to add library fab and I hit my drop down, so here's kind of the list of all the different ones: Adams, Wrights, Gorvins, EPTs, Falcons, Glenn Johnsons. So the list is pretty extensive that we've kind of built up here, but I'm going to show just putting some standard butts on. And so I'm going to apply these butts to the inside. Maybe I want some at 8 inches. And then we'll go at 40. And we'll add that. And so I'm going to apply those. And then also maybe on the lock side, I want to go ahead and put a pull in onto the lock side, and that's at 40. Apply that. And then I also want, an exit. So we'll go down to Adams right, 4510 latch lock, the lock side, and we'll add that. And so what we're seeing here is in the 2D view of all those preps that are going to be added to that. But if I go to my detail view, we can actually see how those are going to lay out, on the door. And so we can zoom in here and we can see, how our butts are going to lay out and how our pull, is going to lay out, and then the different cylinder options, and so kind of gives you a full visual of what you're about to fab onto that door. Okay, so a couple other things we'll talk about that, barcoding. And so each of the parts, door, glass, has the ability to apply a barcode on it that you can, then we have a mobile app that we developed that allows you to scan all those barcodes, and you can then see what project they belong to. You can see what, maybe you need to remake a piece or anything like that. So it allows you to, tag a part and say, I need that remade, or just, some of the people use it as a status throughout their shop that, okay, made it here, made it there. And then another software that we're working with is called Unilink. And that is like a CNC machining software that will allow us to either take a file from them. And so say maybe it's you're creating some other extrusion and you want to set up fabs on it and whatnot, you can do it in Glazer Studio, or you can do it in this software. We could read that in to Glazer Studio. We could read that directly to the Rhino. And then also we'll be able to take any of our fabrication information we create here, send it to Unilink, and then they have an extensive library of other machines that they've worked with. That, so let's say you have a Rhino and you have another machine, we'd be able to send information to both. So is there any questions on any of this right now?
No questions. There was one question, but it's already been answered in the question box. So yeah, please continue.
Okay, well that's all I have right now. But anytime, feel free to you can reach out to me directly. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chris Colvin, who's going to talk a little bit about in-house software that we have that we're going to be working with to bring together with Partner Pack and Glazer Studio.
Great, thanks, Chris.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
And can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, I'm going to go over some inventory control options that we have, and also some things that we're working on for the future. So first, just on our machines. Oops. On our machines, we have inventory control, and so you're able to enter stock lengths into the machine. As it's processed through the machine, it deducts that, and so you can keep track of how many stock lengths are going through. We also have drop control, so you're able to define what is considered a usable drop based on part number and finish. And then you can also define where those drops are going to go after it goes through the machine. You can define the location, the capacity of the bin or of the rack, and we can also print out a drop label to put on that drop. And so as all of this material is going through the machine, we're also keeping track of it. And so for every stock length and for every cut, we also have reporting where you can look up and you can see within a certain amount of time how much material has been processed through the machine. And so that's been working very well, and it does a great job of tracking material as it's getting processed through the machine. But we've had customers who have expressed interest in having some more advanced features. And so I'm going to go over some software that we've been working on. And so here's a part list of some storefront parts, extrusions and hardware doors. And so first of all, as we look here, we have a lot more parameters that we can define to help us control our inventory. So for example, we can set a stock quantity. If it's hardware and we want to stock so many, we can define that. We have reorder levels. We have a maximum in case you have limited space. We also have an economic order quantity. So if it's more economical to buy 100 versus 10, you can define that. And so as you're going through the purchasing process, it will bump it up so that you can get a better price. And another thing we have is price breaks, where you can be very much more specific as to, you buy 10, you're going to get this price. You buy 100, you're going to get this price, and it goes on up. And so one of the things with this module is we do have a link to QuickBooks. And so all of this information can be, if that is your accounting system, it can be synchronized with that. And you can send purchase orders, invoices, sales orders if you need to. And so we have all of the accounting information set up and the accounts and all that. And so let me go over here to look at specific jobs. And so if I click, this is a storefront job. And so this is a screen where we can come in and we can manage all of our inventory and what's needed. And so over here on the left, if it's green, it means we have everything, we're good to go. If it's yellow, it means that we at least have everything on order that we need for that job. If it's red, it means that we need to do some ordering for that. And so On this storefront job over here, we can see that we do have some inventory for the top 3, so that's green, good to go. There's this one box of screw, almost halfway down. We have 50 of them on order, so we have some in stock, 50, and then we have 50 on order, but we also need to order more beyond that. So with this simple little screen here, we can basically look at each one of our jobs and see all of the inventory that we need to purchase. And not only that, on this one right here where we do have a purchase order, it gives us the purchase order. We can actually open up that purchase order. Take a look at it, change it, anything we need to, but also gives the date when it's expected. So this can help us to do some forecasting on when we can be ready to start that job or complete that job. And so once we have everything defined as far as our inventory parameters and triggers, if we go to this purchase by demand, this gives us the ability to purchase for all of our jobs all at once. So it's taking all of the demand that we have based on the bill of materials of all of our jobs, and it's looking at it, and it's looking at how much we already have on hand, how much we have on order, and it's how much we need. And based on that information, it tells us how much we need to order. So I'm going to focus in on just one of them here. This would be Conair parts. And so the screen also gives us several warnings. It's red on the left if it's something that we haven't ordered for a while, to maybe look into that to see if there was an issue. Here in the middle, if we're ordering this because we need to get our stock up, it's making it yellow so that we can see that. And also if it was triggered by a reorder level, it's telling us that. So this is a very simple way to look at everything that you need for all of your vendors. Not only is it easy for reviewing the information, but basically with one simple quick click, let me just do just the one, go to the preview, and then we can preview all of our purchase orders. We click finished, that creates all the purchase orders. And as I mentioned, we have a link to QuickBooks. So if you have that, it would automatically send all those purchase orders over to QuickBooks. And so the other part of this is just, receiving material. We have a simple, efficient receiving screen where you can receive all your material in. That will adjust your accounts as it is received. And then we also have shipping. So once that job is shipped out, it will deduct that inventory from that. And we can also, for that job, as it's being processed and manufactured, we can put some of that inventory into work in progress to separate it out. But then once it's shipped, everything is completely deducted. And so just let me switch back to my slide. So anyway, with this new system, we have several benefits. So one is just that we have this dynamic picture of everything that's going on with our inventory. And based on the need, what we already have, what we have coming, and just some other triggers. Benefit is that we can review all of our purchase orders conveniently in one place, identify irregularities, and then just like I said, that single click to just send everything out to your vendors and have it emailed out. And then specifically about this purchase by demand screen, it's multiple jobs all together. It does apply the triggers, and it's just much more efficient. And then also, if you kind of caught it, we do have lead times there. And so once we put all of that into effect, we can actually get a relatively accurate estimate on when things can ship based on when we're going to get that inventory in. So yeah, this is it. We think it might be something that would be very beneficial for those who want to do a little more advanced inventory control. Are there any questions?
Not for your section, Chris, thank you. And so let's move on to Michael and to David in the actual live demo.
My name is David. I'm going to be showing you guys some of the machines that we have set up here and some of the things Walter and Bill went through on the equipment and how everything works, and run some parts with you guys so you guys can understand a little bit better. First, we're going to start with what we have on this side is the 1250, or a 4-spindle-headed machine.
David, we're losing your audio.
Keep this.
There you go.
Gotcha. Staying on my phone. All right, so I'm going to keep this next to my face. So this machine and all of our other machines comes standard with the 31-foot in-feed, big enough to fit 31 or 32-foot stock lengths with a 10-foot conveyor system. This is changeable, customizable. You guys can do 24 feet. You can do 30 feet. You can do a 5-foot in-feed section as well, or whatever you guys need. All of this stuff is completely customizable. On the inside of this machine, we have 4 of our Hyteco routers. Basically, they all have the routing capabilities and the tool changing capabilities. 3 axes per head. And on the other side, in the saw cabinet, we have an upcut saw. Again, this machine can be outfitted with a downcut miter. You could also add the back cut bevel saw to this one, but just for this instance, we decided to go this route with everything. On the outfeed side of this machine, we have our auto unloader. This is the new stuff Walter was kind of going through with the different styles of moving parts out, bringing things in and out of the machine. I believe we can load up 10 full stock lengths here. The operator could walk away, and depending on what you're doing, that could free them up from anywhere from 20 minutes to the upwards of an hour almost, allowing the operator to go and do other things in the machine. It's going to continuously run and run and run. The gripper system is here. This is a condensed version, obviously, for the show. If you guys wanted a 31-foot outfeed, even if you guys know you're going to be running big lengths, finished lengths, we can extend this all the way out to 30 feet just for the show. And for the actual trade show, we have it condensed so we can fit it in our booth. So this is just an example of what it can do. So the way that this is going to work is as parts come out of the machine, our gripper is actually going to grab it and set it on the conveyor system. In pattern mode, what it's going to do is it's actually going to lay out every stock length as it works down. So if this has 1 stock length and you're able to get 8 pieces out of the stock length, you'll have the first piece, the second piece, the third piece, the fourth piece in order as it came out. This way I can keep it all separated nicely for you and easy to track as you guys start unloading this thing. As it's running, we have a photo eye here. It's just a sensor that's going to pick up when you're full, right? This way we don't just end up dumping all of your parts on the floor. So what I want to do is I'm going to run it, allow a couple of pieces to come through here. You'll see this thing grip it and set it and place it. It's got a little bit of intelligence built in so that if a piece is small or a piece is long, it's not going to try and set it and teeter-totter it off of this thing. So if you see some miscellaneous spacing in here, it's just because we want to make sure that's sitting soundly on the conveyors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the machine. I'm going to grab a job. I'm going to get started. It's just going to do some cutting on this machine. The other machine, when we go over to the 9700, we're going to do some doors. We'll do a curtain wall tube, really run the router so you guys can see. But just so everyone understands, these are the same exact routers in this machine that are going to be in that machine. So same capabilities with the routing. So I'm going to grab this. Grab it up. So on this side, we've got 3 loaded up. I'm not going to run all 3 just to kind of keep this short. It's going to be, just picture if I were to keep running, it's going to keep doing the same thing. It's going to keep loading, it's going to keep filling it. I just wanted to load a few up so that you guys could see that this is how you would load stock lengths on here. So I'm going to hit OK on this. And as this is running, I'm going to explain everything that it's doing, or at least what the outfeed section is doing rather than the infeed section, as this is kind of the new stuff. On this first piece, I gave it an 11-inch trim, right? And the purpose was so that you guys could see the waist feature. And what it's going to do is it's going to take that 11-inch trim cut and it's going to pick it up with the gripper and it's going to drive it over to a section. And you guys can designate your own section where you want your waste to go. And it's going to drop the waste into a bucket, right? And the waste can be variable sizes. You could end up with 8-inch waste or 12-inch waste or 30-inch waste, depending on what you guys decide as a company. You decide what you want as waste. We can set it up and say, okay, you guys are going to put a waste bin, in this case here, drops it in, and then it's going to start feeding out the stock lines, right? So that's just the waste feature. That's why you see that big cutoff at the end. Obviously, we want to optimize and keep things short, but in order to show it to you guys, we decided to cut a little bit off. So I'm going to pull this first piece out. And it's going to place it here at the very beginning because it's the first one in the stock line. The other important thing is that it's a short piece, right? And we want to maintain a good space between two sets of conveyors so it doesn't fall off. It drives it forward. It's going to make the next cut. It moves it out of the way of the next piece coming out. So when this cuts, it's going to grab it and it's going to drive it down to the position that it wants to leave it. Right? So it's going to decide to put it there because it's going to allow it to sit nicely on two conveyors. We back up the whole system, and what it's doing right now is we're removing an air gap. Right? We're making everything perfectly tight and plumb. On the next piece, it would end up doing the same exact thing, and it's going to back up so that it squishes all the pieces together, kind of like what we have set up right here. As an operator, you hang out here, you walk away. Once it's done and ready for you to load it, whether it was just a couple of pieces like this or it actually filled up all the way out to the end, what you're going to do, in this case, where it didn't make it, we have a button on the side of this that's going to index this thing towards us so that we don't have to go in and break any kind of safety currents if you have them or anything like that. So press the button. It drives it all forward for me, and it's going to hit this photo eye and stop immediately. And that's going to give me the chance to take the labels off of the printer and start labeling this stuff. The benefit of doing the mode that we just did is that when you get a big set of conveyors like this and you have 100+ pieces on here, is that this prints in order on a sheet like this and it allows you to walk by and place labels accordingly. This way you don't end up getting mixed up and you're putting stuff in the wrong places and doing things incorrectly. So if we look at these, the labeling system is also going to be a part of our carding system. So the carding system, depending on what kind of carts, and you saw Chris kind of going through some of the options that we had in there. This is going to go on cart 1, position 1, the part number, the length, the stick ID, the barcode for locating things and doing some of the post-production stuff that we're working on is also on here. So you would move it, continue to work through this. As this feeds out more and more and more, and you start having to reach further and further and further, it's very simple just to push the button, get it to come more towards you and keep unloading. The machine can keep running at the same time as this, right? So if you're unloading and you brought this thing forward, the machine is going to keep working, right? It's going to pull the next part off and then bring everything back forward for you. And as long as we're not tripping this photo eye while you're unloading things, the machine is still functioning. It's not down right now while we're working. You're just able to keep going, and then you can walk away again once it's all unloaded. So any questions about this unloading stuff where the 1250 with the gripper before we go over to the other machine, or anybody see anything come in?
Nothing so far, David. Looking
Cool.
good.
Alrighty, so we're gonna walk over here. This is our combo machine. This is our 9700. Let's swing that monitor around to the other side there, work from the back side of this. So this is our big RhinoFab machine integrated with a stock length machine, right? A stick machine or a linear machine, depending on kind of terminology. So we call it our 8700. We lost your audio, David. Okay, is that better? Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. This is a condensed version for the show, but same thing as the other machine. We have the capacity to make it any length that you guys want. Standard is for a 32-foot stock length, right? If you guys only needed to run 24-foot stock lengths, we can make it 24-foot. And this is set up for a 5-foot infeed, right? We also make this with a 10-foot infeed, which is standard, which just means your conveyors are going to run out here rather than in here. But just for demonstration purposes, we went with this to give us a little bit more space to accommodate you guys at the show. There's 2 modes on this machine. One is the stick mode, which is going to be your lineals or your stock lengths, and the other one is the door mode. When you're in stick mode, it's going to look like it is right now. These orange rollers are up and the ball tables are down. And this is going to allow the conveyors to bring your parts in and out and automate that process. When we switch it to door mode, these are on hydraulic lift cylinders, and it's going to pick everything up. It's going to bring those down. This way you can maneuver the doors on top of all these balls while it's running. The outfeed section also has stationary door table lifts. These ones don't actuate as of right now. If you guys were to take and integrate the auto unloader out here, there would obviously be a set of conveyors over here. These would be on ball cylinder lifts too. And you could actually run an auto unloader on this machine as well. So to jump into some fabrication stuff, I got a door we're going to run. It's got quite a bit of hardware on it. You'll see Glenn Johnson, MS-1850, some butt hinges, and an EPT-10 with a panic and a CVR. So I'm going to get this started. We'll kind of bounce back and forth between cameras with the one pointed directly into our saw cabinet or fabrication cabinet. This way you guys can see this thing running. While it's running, if you guys have questions, feel free to wave and we can give you some audio or just type a question and someone will ask me and I'll answer it. But for now, I'll go ahead and get this thing started. You can see everything shifted into the door mode. I'm gonna grab everything. Loading up all the axes real quick. This one's got a lot more than the other one, so it takes a second to find everything. So on this screen, it's basically telling us what the robot's going to need. So actually, you know what? I didn't even go into the robot. Let me stop and go back a little bit. This machine, unlike the other machine, has our Yaskawa robot built into it. This is an automatic tool changer. I think Bill went over it a little bit with Walter a little bit too. On the top axis, there's a carousel with 20 positions where you can preload whatever tools you want. And then we keep a database in the machine so that we know where everything is at all times. And as the robot needs tools, it'll just go and grab them off the carousel, right? You just program it like you normally would, and you can say, yeah, I need a 1/4-inch router bit here, and then here I need a 3/16 drill bit. And as the machine gets to those positions, the robot is just going to simply go and grab them and put them in and do what it needs to do as it's working. So while the door's running, you're going to see the robot go and switch a couple tools and work through everything. And then after the robot runs, I'll show you guys the process for just manually switching tools if you decide to not get the robot. So for now, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to hit OK. Start this guy up, and I'm going to grab my door and I'm going to set it down. Set my mic down this way. I can pick up the door. Okay. So my pusher moves to my load position, and I'm going to grab this door and stop talking for 1 second. Okay. So in the software in Glazer Studio or Partner Pack, whichever one you're using, I told the machine that this is a hinge left medium style bronze door with a 10-inch bottom rail. And then I told it, hey, I've got this piece of hardware, that piece of hardware. But as you're working, I think when you saw Chris doing it, he's just picking stuff and telling you locations, right? He's not specifying, put it on the left side of the door or the right side of the door. And the reason we do that is to keep this simple, right? When we put these doors in, we don't want the operator to have to figure out, does it go this way? Do I flip it over the other way? We standardized it so that every single time you run a door, it's going to go through with the exterior of the door up and the top rail first. And the program that came from the office is going to dictate what the machine's going to do. So the machine already knows that this is a hinge left swing out door. So for me as an operator or anybody else as an operator, they really don't need to know that. They just need to know I got my exterior up, my top rail is going first, and it's going to know what to do. So I'll hit continue, and this thing is going to start. We'll go ahead and switch the camera over to the back so that you guys can see this thing work. So we actually are taking a second there when it paused to measure this door, right? We want to make sure that we're getting a perfect fab. So we have a measure cylinder that pops up and we run the door into the measure cylinder and torque it out. And that's when we use the pusher to measure the exact size of this door in case we need to shift any fab to make sure everything is going to line up perfect. So across the top here, we just have a Glenn Johnson. This is just a concealed closer. Cutout goes clear across the top of this door. Do a cleanup cut right here on this back side. Get rid of a little tick. This way we don't have to file anything. And it's going to come over, park itself, and switch itself to a smaller router bit. What's going to do next is a panic. And there's a lot of things that have 1/4-20 tapped holes, some real small diameter circles that the 5/16 is just too big for. So we're going to actually use the robot to switch. This way we don't have to do any kind of manuals or reruns or post-machine production to this. The robot picks it up off the carousel, swings it around, and it has two hands. So what it's going to do is it's going to go retrieve the one from the top drill, and it ejects it out. It comes out, and it just swings and turns it up and over so that you guys can actually move this around. So it's going to keep that other router bit in its hand just in case, at another point, as we get further down a door, we want to step back into the bigger router bit. It doesn't have to go back to the carousel anymore. It just automatically has it in hand, and it's going to keep working. So everything moves back to safe position. We spin up, we clamp, and it gets back to work. So this is going to be the top portion of a CVR prep. Just have a couple of little cutouts in here. This is a 730. Oh, actually, it's a 3/16 router bit. So it's not the biggest router bit, but it does pretty good at making its way through this door. So right now it's doing some cylinder cutouts and some latch bolt cutouts on there. The next prep that you guys are going to see is an MS1850. And the reason I wanted to put this on this side of that door is we're going to see all three of these routers run at the same exact time. In the back router, we have what we call a CSR04A. It's a countersink router bit. So it's a router bit that has countersinking on it as well. So as it needs to, it just routes with the tip of its bit. And if you just drill a little bit further, it opens up to a route or a countersink bit, kind of like our traditional countersink bits that have a drill and a countersink, except this one has a router bit. So it allows you to do backer plate holes for things like a MS1850 for the cover plate, or the backer plate holes for buttons or anything like that. So right here you see all three of them cruising. That back router is cutting out that long cutout for the MS1850 for the plate to go through. The top one's already done. The bottom one's already done. slug out of there. And then we just have one more part that we need to get done for the bottom part of this CVR. And then the machine is actually going to prompt us to spin the door and put it back in so that it can do the hinge cutouts and that EPC 10 that I've got programmed in here as well. All right, we'll go ahead and switch you back over to this handheld camera over here. This way we can give you a little bit of a close-up on this while I spin this door around. And you guys can see how much prep work went in there. Here we have this long MS-1850. There's smooth as butter off of this PVR here. We'll put it on there. This is why we have these balls on the south feeder, so that I can simply just put this door without having to pick it up. Being a medium style door, it's not the heaviest thing, but you get start getting into some of the clad doors, the thermal doors, it's very heavy. So MS-1850 again, very smooth. Bottom preps down here. We cut out the bottom portion of the CVR, and then the panic preps right here. So I'm going to push this back through. Going to run a few buttons, and once it gets done with that, we're actually mode, and we're going to run a piece of curtain wall. This way you guys can see both of the saws go, some standard countersinking for typical horizontal application, and we'll get a rake top scenario frame and a corner scenario for curtain wall member. So, sorry, one hand. So hit continue on that. We'll let this guy run through. Any questions on any of this? While we let this run, we're going to switch the camera back over to the back. And you guys feel free to ask questions while you watch. Don't be shy. Because we have this multi-function bit on the back, and you guys aren't actually going to see another tool change to the drill bug. We're able to do the countersinking and the drilling and the routing for these things all with the same tool. And just say we had some questions about this stuff. They are accessible for even the older machines, the 900s, 950s, 1350s. If you guys are interested in these, we carry them in stock. Can everyone see this video feed okay or no?
Yeah, it's coming good.
Okay. You say it looks good? You can see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, good. Now I see some guys in here that I'm sure have questions. Jim Trout, I see you there.
Now, right? So. Okay. Hey, Todd, let's unmute everybody. Okay, so everybody in the meeting is unmuted. So if you're muted, it's because you're self-muted. So you gotta hit the mute button and ask a
Yep,
question.
feel free to ask some questions. Say it again. Yeah. Sorry, I thought I heard someone starting to ask a question. I got excited for a second.
What is your most common wear part?
So we have some typical stuff that are intended to wear. So like the sleeves around the orange rollers. And once this door gets done and we switch back over to the handheld, can you hear me, guys? I'll show you a couple of things that are meant to protect the metal, which in turn is going to cause them to wear a little bit, so that we're not ending up with, aluminum on aluminum, right? So that'll be some of the typical stuff that we have to wear. So we'll go ahead and pop it over to our handheld here. I'll pull it out. One of the biggest things for wear is this neoprene sleeve around these orange rollers that clamp the doors. It's the same material that's on the bottom here. These ones typically don't wear because they're just kind of carrying a load and they roll with it. But the ones that clamp, depending on what kind of force you're using to clamp and how often you run them, we expect those to kind of wear out pretty quickly. Some of the other pads and stuff in the machine, those are meant to take abuse rather than give abuse. So those are going to wear too, those black Delrin plastic pads that we use. But for the most part, it's a pretty rigid machine. There's a little bit of maintenance, preventative stuff that can help really make things last a long, long time. But for the most part, everything does a pretty good job of staying true and solid with this guy. So if we look over here, I'm going to spin this door around before I take it off. This way you guys can see some of these hinge cutouts and CPT kind of close. So butt hinge. This is our EPT10. There's backer plate holes and the countercon holes for the backer plate for all this stuff too. Again, this stuff, once you get it loaded, or if it's something that we already have loaded in the database for you, it's very easy to apply this stuff. You can set up formulas, especially for these butt hinges that say, hey, on all my doors that are 3 butt hinge set, I just want it to be 10 inches from each end and one at center line, or if it's 4 butt hinges, we can build formulas based off of quarter points of door and things like that. This way it automatically applies this stuff too. And it's very simple, very easy to get going. So that was the doors. If you guys have more questions, feel free. I'm gonna pull this guy off of here and set it up, and then I'm gonna get just a stick press all you guys for you guys, so you can see that run too.
What is the working position when it's in a single position? What's the span that the drill work? Like our 900 does about 5 or 6 inches.
So on this machine, there you go. Thank you. The y-axis does about 9 1/4, right? And the x-axis, the front to back motion, this is going to go. And Walter, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I think it has about a 35-inch stroke. 36. I'm sorry, 36 inch. So it can actually do
3 feet, 36. 1,000
3 feet. Can do both sides of the door if you guys need it to. So you can come way out here and do it, or you can stay way back in the back and focus on that back side as well. So we definitely up things a little bit. That's why you saw this CPT10, that big 9-inch cutout, all get done in one shot. This way we don't have to space things out and break the cutout into 2 separate cutouts.
On the framing, are the hinge locations just mirrored from the door leaf? Like in the build, does it automatically calculate that?
Can you ask that one more time? I believe I got
On
cut off
the
a little bit there.
on the door leaf, your hinge locations, does the program automatically mirror those on the frame?
Yeah, so there is a setup for that, and there was a part in Chris's demonstration, Chris Draper, when he was showing you the Glazer Studio software, where you can actually take the hinge and you can apply it to both the door and the jamb at the same time. This way, when you're building a door, you can just say, "Hey, I have this piece of hardware," and that hardware will automatically tell the door jamb and the door at the same time where to do these preps. This way, they line up with each other perfect.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm going to switch this into our stick mode when I select this. And it's going to drop those ball tables down and give us access to the belts for stock lengths. So on this machine, I know there's a few people in here that have Rhinos and have been asking questions. This one, actually, everything is derived off the back. Right? We have a back router rather than a front router on this. So you see this curtain wall mullion. I loaded it reverse because the back router comes in from this way and does all of our prep work. We also set that up in the software that this machine is going to handle flipping all of your data too. So if you guys are existing customers and you have huge databases built with preps, with parts and custom fabs and stuff, you don't lose any of those switching to this machine. We flip that data here at the machine. So you guys are going to still function the same way as if you had the front stuff, and nothing changes on that sense. So grab this guy. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a standard countersink drill, and I'm going to manually change it in this back chuck. This way you guys can see the functionality of how this gets changed if you opt out of getting the robot. And if you do, this is just a very simple process. So I have my new tool. Here's my old tool. Set this down here. There's a button on each one of these. It's hard to see here, but I'll press it with my thumb. It's a big red button. Make sure I hold on to the chuck. It pushes it out. I got it in my hand. I take the new one, push it in, and then it's done. It's a digital input on this, which is why we're able to get the robot to change these tools for us too. The robot just sends a digital signal. We have to manually press the signal, and that allows it to do it. So if you guys didn't get the robot right away, and you guys were just manually changing things, it's super quick to get in here and pop these things in now. If you guys decide not to get the robot, or you buy one and get the robot later on down the road, whatever it is. So I'm gonna close this door up. I still have this countersink router. I'll set it down right there. So with this curtain wall, I'm gonna have 3 pieces coming out of this. One is going to be just a traditional horizontal. It's going to get 90-90 cut on both sides. The next one is going to end up looking like a pizza slice. It's going to be a trapezoid with some angles on it and some shear block holes that follow. And then the final piece is going to have a bevel cut, and that'll kind of showcase if you had a frame that was raked across the top and you needed the opposite style of angle on the similar part. So I open the door, that automatically triggered a safety report, so it's going through smoke.
We lost your audio, David.
Apologize. Can you hear me good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Because I opened that back door, we triggered a safety circuit. It just is, make sure nothing moves kind of stuff. So it just went through the routine of making sure that everything was the way it needed to be. So I'm going to okay this, and this is going to function similar to a lot of the machines that are already out there. So got our tools done. Okay. Okay. Hit the start button. We're going to switch you guys back to that back camera. This way you can see these countersinks and the drill bits go. Mike, you want to switch them over? And when it's switched over, just give me a heads up and I'm going to hit that start button. Okay, we're ready. Here it goes. So on stock links, we opted to primarily not use that measuring cylinder just because there's always a trim cut, right? That's going to eat up any kind of inconsistency in your stock. However, if you guys are running fabs only on door jambs that might already be cut to length or anything, that measure cylinder is there to make sure everything is 100% perfect if you guys needed to use it. But in this case, you probably just saw it push right past and use the photo eye like we typically use because it's nice and smooth and very, very quick. So just pushing in some countersinks. It'll move to a position here, do a couple more, and we're going to try and dance back and forth between all these cameras in here. This way you can see the saw run versus the drills run, and I'll go ahead and shout out to Mike when I think it's time. Okay. We're about to get a trim cut on the saw here. This is just a 90-degree trim cut. What happens with those trims is they fall down a chute that we have built in and into any kind of scrap bin that you guys might have. We have just a cardboard box here. But a lot of people will use crates or build some out of brake metal. Just depends on the size you guys want and how you guys kind of move stuff through your facility. So doing a couple drilled holes. These are shear block holes. You can kind of see they're going at an angle. It's because we're actually going to split this piece right in the middle at a 45, right? This way you can see what it's going to look like if you have any kind of L angle shear block next to a corner. All right, so what this did is, if you go to the saw cabinet here, is it did the remainder cut of my 90 for my first piece and automatically turned itself to a 45 for the next cut. So that's the leading edge of the following piece. So you can see that we're handling two different styles of cuts that are buddied right up to each other. And we automatically build into a small gap. This way your cut lengths stay perfect, your fabs stay perfect across the board. So on here, I have my ejected part. I'm going to set it right here so we can take a look at it once this is all done. I'll stick my label on there. The same thing with this saw as the other saw over there that we went over that has the capabilities of doing the carding. Even though on this one we don't have the unloader, you don't lose the ability to do the carding. It's still built into the software to say, hey, this is going to go on cart 3, position 5, position 6, 7, 8, consistently all the way through. So you don't have to have an unloader to get the carding routine. It's all built into every one of our machines. Doing the opposite angle here, like I said, this is going to end up looking like a trapezoid or a pizza slice, depending on how you want to look at it. So it's a very, very small curtain wall with 2 corners with some shear block holes on the top. And the following piece is going to get straight cut to represent the bottom of the curtain wall member. And the trailing angle of this piece is going to go the opposite to look like a rake top on a frame. So this saw is going to power down. We're going to push to position, and then you'll see that back saw down there kind of tucked in horizontally, turn itself up on the end at a 45, and actually pushes in from the back to make this cut. So it kicks itself up, and it drives it in forward. And this is what we call a bevel cut. The 2 cuts you saw first were miter cuts, and this is our bevel cut. 2 different types of cuts on this when you're running it. depending on what the application is and where it's going in the frame. So that's why we have our two stalls. So that big cutout falls in the bin. The stall retracts. You can set it down here. And we'll have our camera guy come on over and we'll give you a close-up of this stuff too. So let me blow off the shaving so you can make sense of it. So here would be our rake top vertical, right? Where your slope is going that way. Some shear block holes on this side. There's obviously a very unique piece here with the double corner with your shear block holes here. And then just your traditional horizontal with countersinks. And these, again, I'll pull tape for it if you guys want and show you guys. These are perfect cut lengths. I mean, there's no ifs or tight or anything like that. It's very accurate. The cuts are very clean with both saws. They both work very good. So that was the curtain wall stuff. If you guys have questions, again, feel free to ask. I'm not sure if everyone's unmuted still, but if they're not, let's unmute everybody. You guys can rapid fire some questions and I'll give you some answers.
Okay, so everybody's unmuted. If anybody wants to ask questions, you're probably muted by yourself. You just uncheck the mute button. If anybody's got any questions? Hey, Dave, I think we're good. I don't see any questions. I think most of them got it.
Well,